So hi everybody, Brad, Karen, and Angelique. I'm Heather, Poets and Quants. We're waiting for John to fix his internet or find a place where he can join us. He's going to be the best person to moderate, but I have been following, Center Court and all of what you all have been doing for the last several years, actually. But just yesterday, was able to watch the admissions panel with Georgetown and ASU Thunderbird and Tepper. So it's good to see you again today, Brad. And for everybody, would you mind just going around and introducing who you are and your capacity? And this is a careers panel, so I don't have your titles in front of me right now, but so if you could introduce yourself to today's group, that would be fantastic. Brad, let's start with you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Iben. I'm the Executive Director of the MS in Product Management program here at Carnegie Mellon, which is out of both the Tepper School of Business and the School of Computer Science. We're a hybrid program.
Great. And so you're program manager. So, and how closely do you work in your role with career services or, students transitioning into jobs?
Extremely, in all aspects of the program's operations.
Great. That's pretty hands-on. Angelique?
Hello, my name is Angelique Smith, and I am the Senior Associate Director of Career Development at Thunderbird at ASU. I work with all of our full-time Masters of Global Management students, as well as Executive MBA, Executive MGM, as well as our 4+1 programs.
Great. Karen, hi.
Yes, hi, I'm Karen. I'm the Director of Career Services for the Master of Science in Management program at Georgetown McDonough, and we do refer to our program as the MIM program. So I have previous experience working with the MBA Career Services, but in this case, I'm a Career Center of One devoted to the MIM program at Georgetown.
So quickly, I want to remind anybody who's watching that they can chime in with questions. This is it's a live panel, so we would invite them to share and ask. We had some people join us yesterday with some questions, and with careers, it's I think this group of prospective students might be more careers focused or less exploring and know that they're targeted or they're targeting a specific field. But why do you think non-MBA master's degrees or just business specializations and graduate education are increasing in popularity? Because that's what we have been seeing. Angelique?
Sure, I can start. Well, I know that at Thunderbird School of Global Management, we are instrumental in offering programming for students who are interested in international management. The way that our program is structured, the students do get an introduction, I should say, to some of the traditional business courses such as marketing and finance and data analytics and strategy. But they have an opportunity to really dive deep into an area of specialty that they're interested in. Specifically with us, it's international management. And so I think that's why so many folks are looking at more of a specialized master's today, is because it really gives them an opportunity to really focus on a specific area and build a little bit of depth in that focus, as opposed to being as opposed to being a generalist in the area. And that seems to be what organizations are more open to today as well.
Great. Thank you. Karen?
Sure. Well, I think that it has to do with making a career change. Many of the students I've spoken with, quite a few in our program, have a political science or liberal arts kind of a degree, and they're starting to think about what they want. And then they realize that the missing piece, and maybe they realize this during an internship or so on, and is they don't really know the basics of accounting or marketing or some of the quant skills, and then they're being asked to do PowerPoint presentations and data visualization, and they have the smarts and the knowledge from their undergrad and maybe some work experience, but aren't able to kind of put that all together in the work environment. And some of it is career exploration. Like some people are like, hey, I majored in this, but by the time I graduated, in order to graduate in time, I had to stick with that, but I no longer want to do that. And so sometimes it's a much more major career shift. And this one-year program, I think, allows people to make that shift and then get right into the working world and be able to succeed and have the skills they need.
That's great. And I'm going to actually, I want to come back to that because there's a question that came up yesterday and also then today about, age ranges and opportunities. So I'm going to put a pin there and get Brad's perspective on why, if more people, or why people might be choosing specializations over a generalist degree.
I actually think both Karen and Angelique hit it pretty accurately. I agree with both of those sentiments, and I would almost describe it in terms of, you may have certain prospective students who, if we took this to a trades area, you may have a trade school where prospective students know that they want to work with their hands, but they don't know what it means to be a plumber or an electrician. The same thing applies in a business school or in a university, where some people know exactly what they want their outcome to be, and others want that breadth of experience because they still aren't convinced where they want to end up by the end of their experience. And the other major aspect behind this is where we see the job market moving, is we see the job market looking for specific sets of skills, where the general skills are nice to have, and the students that aren't convinced necessarily that they want to move in this direction or that need those broad skills so that they have options. But many, especially those career changers or those who are ready to take their next step in their career, know exactly where they want to get, and they know if those skills are combined and packaged for them, it makes it a no-brainer.
That came across actually really clear yesterday in your panel. I think you said, you might start as, and I can't quote you exactly, but you start here and you end up here. So when you leave a product manager, you start in the program as whatever this is, a technical person, and then you leave as a product manager. And so to that, and then what Karen and Angelique were saying, if this is a specialization, you would think that even somebody my age, which is 46, could benefit if I wanted to do something different. So I've been in business and I want to go and I could do, I could take a specialized master's, but then the average age range is not, it's probably 22, 23, because one of the things, we also have been talking about is, 1 year experience, 0 to maybe 2 and 3, it's kind of, you're getting farther past the opportunity to benefit directly. But if it sounds like what Karen's saying too is a career switch, or someone who's maybe spent 20 years in the military and wants to change. So do you have many students, or, well, first of all, 2 questions. What's the average age, and how often do you see people coming in that are that have more career experience but looking to change later in life? Karen, let's go with you.
Sure. I think it depends on the program. So although I'm here to talk about the Master of Science in Management, which is a 10-month STEM designated accelerated program that's in person for students with 0 to 3 years of work experience.
Okay.
So it's very specific in terms of what it's covering. But we do have an online Master of Science in Business Analytics program that has a huge range of ages, and a Master of Science in Finance program that has a huge range of ages. So I think one of the aspects is in-person versus remote. And another aspect is, really what the outcomes are, because a lot of times with the remote programs, people are already working. So I think there's a difference between someone who's a student, who graduates, who's unemployed, who wants to devote 100% of their time to being a student in a more traditional way, versus someone who's employed, who's making a career switch and is taking classes with some end in mind. So I think it's super important for the listeners and the students to think about where they are in their career trajectory and what kind of program makes sense.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And thank you for also speaking about the other programs. Angelique, same average age?
Yes, it's very similar to what Karen just said. We have our average age is about 27 right now, but we have um, um, ages, yeah, it's about 27 right now, but it's a wide range of experience within that. We have some of our students who come in with 0 years of experience, really coming right from undergraduate to all the way to 30 years of experience who are really making that career change, like my fellow panelists have mentioned before. So,
That's really neat. I think that's inspiring.
yeah.
Not everybody can take 2 years off to go, there's John, do something different, but 10 months on campus, 1 year. Hi,
Mhm.
John.
Well, hi there.
Well, we were just talking about average ages and whether or not people, do sort of join programs later in life. But we had a specific question from the audience about the average age range. So
Okay.
can we hear from Brad? Actually, the question was specifically directed to Brad too, but so can we hear from Brad and then I will let you take over this panel?
Well, why don't you stay with us since you're doing such a wonderful job?
Thank you. All right, I'll stay. Brad, so someone would like to know the age range of the current students in the product management and if it's a STEM certified program.
It is STEM. We're an MS program. And like I mentioned earlier, we're a hybrid between the business school and the School of Computer Science as well. So we have in that respect, we have the best of both worlds. But we actually have a really broad range of experience for incoming students. And we're unique in that we're more experienced than most other master's programs. We have an average right now, both this year and incoming, of 7 years work experience. Like we typically specialize in bringing in experienced tech professionals and sending them away with this combination of product management skills. That said, we have outliers on the young and on the more experienced side. I'm also 46, Heather, and right now I'm older than all my students, but I expect that will change as years go by. And we have we had one student who I talked with about kind of an entrance interview. Why did you choose us? What made you decide to come here? And he had 10 years of software development experience. And he knew that his choice was move toward product or move toward functional management. And he just looked at the world of functional management and said, that doesn't seem very interesting to me. So he enrolled and, 10 years of solid experience in a tech profession. And he's coming in as one of those career switchers.
Thanks, Brad. John.
So let me throw a question at everyone. We're starting to get the employment reports from MBA programs, and they're really great reports. One school after another is reporting record compensation, record placement levels. I wonder on the specialty master's program, how all of your graduates are faring in the job market. I know we went through last year a little more difficult time because there was some hesitation in hiring among companies during the pandemic. But what's the outlook now? Karen, want to take that?
Sure. I think that we had some surprises last year. I was really pleased that the students did quite well. One of the differences, though, was that many of the companies did not begin recruiting until the spring. So I would say more students maybe graduated without employment and then started internships and kind of worked them until they got their full-time offers. So they had to really hustle. But the outcomes have been really fantastic. One student was doing a consulting, sort of a short-term consulting job at Facebook, and she got a full-time offer there, but in the meantime was able to get an offer from LinkedIn. So, students took the summer if they weren't able to secure an offer by graduation. This year, I think things are looking amazing. The companies are out the gate really early, so there's a lot more confidence in the market. I also think our students are doing what I encourage them to do, is to be open-minded about companies, because maybe everyone's heard about the biggest brands, but there's a lot of hiring in startups or medium-sized or different maybe companies that are quite established, but the students haven't actually heard of them. So I think that I'm hearing just a really wide range of employers. And the other piece that's quite interesting, and I think a positive trend for our students, is that they aren't always going into traditional roles in those companies. For example, we have a MIM student last year who got hired by McKinsey, but in a research analyst role. She's in her early 20s and she wasn't applying for the consulting role, but there are a lot of other kinds of jobs, and our students are quite competitive there.
Yeah, that's great to hear. How about an ASU Thunderbird?
At ASU and Thunderbird, we were also really, pleasantly surprised with the outcomes of our students this past year. They obviously faced a number of challenges with the hiring trends of organizations changing, but in the end, I also think that they fared well. So we had about 84% of our students who had landed positions within 5 months, actually. And to talk a little bit about the Thunderbird program, it's unique. We have a very high international student rate, and so many of these students are looking for positions outside of their home country, of course. But in addition to that, our domestic students are also looking for positions outside of the U.S. So our time to find a full-time role tends to be a little longer than other programs, but we were really excited and happy for the folks who did successfully land a position outside of their home country with under the 6-month period. So yeah, we thought they did really well, and I agree that the salaries were higher than in previous years. And then we also saw a higher number of international students who were able to land a job in the US. So we're always just, thrilled about that, because we know that's what they're coming here for.
Yeah, and I'll underline that. Obviously, if you're looking for a job in a different country, it's going to take you a little bit longer than if you were looking for a job in the country in which the school is located.
Sure.
And if you're looking for a global role, these are in particular more harder to find. They're more one-off searches, so they typically take a little bit longer. Now, I'm thinking that in product management, Brad, the tech companies were still continuing to hire, and that is the obvious place for a lot of grads from graduate management programs to go. How does the job market look today, and how did your students fare last year?
I think you nailed it, John. And just a quick search on LinkedIn with product manager as the key term returns 35,000 jobs. So that's not a bad start. But
that's like shooting fish in a barrel for you, right?
But it's such a notoriously difficult job that everybody has super high standards, which is part of the reason for this program's origin in the first place. But it's noteworthy in answering that question that our academic calendar runs from January to December. So we don't have spring graduate numbers. We're actually entering our recruiting season right now for this year's cohort. That said, in December of 2020, it was the perfect storm of the depth of COVID, the political unrest and uncertainty, and all these other variables combining to create the perfect nightmare. Yet still, we had 60% with jobs at graduation, and 3 months in, I think we were in the 90s, and then 6 months, everybody. Even as we had our incoming students looking for internships this spring, all of them were placed with pretty impressive roles in companies. And I remember talking to one of the students who was nervous or stressed about finding her internship. And I talked when I met with her, she said, "Yeah, I'm really stressed. I hope I get a job before the summer starts." And I said, "Well, okay, who are you talking with?" And, "Well, I have 10 interviews this week." It was one of those. Of course, everyone that's searching for a job is nervous. That's natural, but everything looks to be moving in very positive directions, especially in tech.
So Brad, you know that movie that Tom Cruise was in where he plays a sports agent and he says, "Show me money"? So what kind of money do people make out of this program?
This is another one where it's highly variable because some go to startups, some go to tech giants, and you can imagine that the compensation is different, especially with base pay. But base pay is typically in the mid 120s on average, let's say. But then when you start talking about companies like Amazon and Ernst & Young and these companies, now you're talking significant bonuses and shares of the company and different incentives that make it apples and oranges, not apples to apples. But it's
I appreciate that, absolutely.
It's certainly an attractive, it's an attractive profession for sure.
Yeah, six-figure pay is good pay, and I'm imagining that the pre-program pay of your graduates, I have no idea what it is, but it's probably nowhere near 120. And if you get a signing bonus from an Amazon and a performance bonus at the end of the year, you're way up there and way ahead of the game. Karen, what are your graduates earning typically out of the program?
We have, ours is a new program with small cohorts, so we're not actually reporting the data. However, I am telling students to expect between 50 and 100, which I know is a pretty wide range, but I worked in the MBA program and they have a pretty wide range too. So, the consulting firms, as we all know, tend to pay a little higher. Personally, for my students, that most of them, even though it's a 0 to 3 year program, the average amount of work experience is 7 months, which means this is their first full-time job and their work experience is mostly internships and they're in their early 20s. So I honestly have been pleasantly very surprised that a couple of them have gotten offers in 6 digits. So that's, not completely out of the question, but I think that it varies greatly in terms of their undergrad degree and how much work experience they have. But it seems to be a pretty good market.
Sure, and typically Masters of Management programs are those for undergrads like me, who majored in English and political science. And companies no longer hire you and put you in a job to learn. They want you to contribute from day one. And that's what the Masters of Management allows a graduate to do. So it's no surprise to me that the average number of months in work experience is only 7 there. I'm even surprised it's as high as that because I know a lot of people who major in humanities and have difficulty landing a decent paying job. Go into a lot of specialty master's programs to get job ready for the market. So that makes total sense to me. And over at ASU, I'm imagining, given the wide scope of jobs that your students go into all over the world, compensation is kind of all over the map. I mean, I bet you the 50 to 100 range that Karen put out there doesn't even begin to describe what it would be like for someone with a global degree, because we know that pay scales are dramatically different in many other countries. Is that right?
That's completely correct. And we often share the 50 to 100 as well. We have our cohorts that are broken into experience groups and then also early career folks. And like you said, they're taking some of those traditional roles like, brand management and consulting and financial analysts. But we also have students who are going into policy analysts or working in CSR, or who are going into the foreign service or doing some of those roles in other countries where the pay structure is just so much different. So we do have a various, it's not as, cut and dry with ASUs, especially in the Thunderbird program, but we do share about 50 to 100,000 average. And then of course we have the outliers that are well above the 6 figures or well into the 6 figures, I should say. And then we have some that are below the 50,000 most of the time because they are in another country.
Sure, understandable. And when you look at any employment reports from any graduate management programs, you see, and they break out numbers by country, you see those disparities, particularly in India, China, and some other countries. So there's no doubt about that. Now, Heather, what questions do you have here? How about, why don't you throw a question at the panel here?
I will. Actually, since you've been talking about, I was wondering what exactly, and it's on our list of questions, and I think our audience who's watching now and will eventually want to know, what kinds of hands-on support do the students get from career services through the program to help them? Do you do one-on-one coaching or job boards, do you have networks, obviously, but what kinds of services would I experience as a student? Karen?
And I wanted to let you know that Heather is always threatening me and saying she wants to go and get a graduate management degree.
It's true.
So you could actually have a student here.
We won't make our program sound too
I don't want
exciting.
that to happen.
Well, it's only 10 months.
So yeah, so for the Bachelor of Science in Management at Georgetown McDonough, it's August through May for the 10-month program, but we begin the career services the moment students sign up and are definitely coming. So we'll have, I created an entire month of curriculum, and of course it's all online because people could be overseas or still in jobs or moving or whatever might be happening. But we have live sessions that we then record and make sure that students have the foundation they need for their resume, their cover letter, their LinkedIn profile, exposure to case interview prep in case they'll be doing early recruiting, and pretty much as we can kind of gather together. And then I actually met with every single student in the program one-on-one between June and September, to try to figure out, okay, are you, do you have to be right out the gate? What do you need? Like, sort of like, what do you have to pay attention to in August or September, or can you wait? And so to help everybody prioritize, because you can't do everything. And it's like, okay, are you going to be interviewing in August, or are you not even going to be applying until January or February? So that's sort of the customization piece. And that way I could send students in the right direction, depending on their needs. And then of course, throughout the year, once the school year starts, there are ample opportunities for one-on-ones with me. And then I'll do a lot of alumni panels for alumni in different career fields so people can explore. And but what's nice is we have additional resources. So I said I'm a career center of one, that's because I'm dedicated to MIM, but in the whole McDonough family, we have, school-wide events, cover letter reviews, or networking skills, and campus-wide events, and resources and online resources as well. So I think the students can feel really well supported depending on where they are in their career journey, if they're early birds or they're going to be recruiting later on.
It's probably worth pointing out, if it hasn't been done already, that Amazon decided that its second headquarters would be in the Washington, D.C. metro area, right across the river in Virginia. And I think that full opening, when it does occur, which is forthcoming, it's already happening, but I don't think they're fully employed and all set up yet. And the ecosystem that's going to go around Amazon is going to lead to a tremendous number of job opportunities in that market. And I'm thinking that Georgetown is going to be the #1 school that's going to be the beneficiary of that.
Well, we have some fantastic alumni, and Amazon actually comes to campus and, as you can imagine, presents in the auditorium where because everybody's curious. But
a lot of people interested in Amazon.
But I think that because, again, it may depend if people are employed or not employed, or doing an in-person program. But for the students doing this particular one, it's in person. Nestle just opened their headquarters across the river. Boeing has a headquarters. I mean, that's just a couple companies just there. In DC metro area, you've got the federal government, you've got the World Bank, you've got all the consulting firms, a lot of federal consulting. I mean, Deloitte is probably one of our biggest employers in terms of the federal consulting space. Contractors, the biotech corridor in Maryland. So in terms of physical geography, I think Georgetown is well positioned. We have a lot of alumni, but also I personally, what I've seen is that the Georgetown network, it's not just, oh, you went to the business school, I went to the business school, I'm going to help you. And McDonough alums are great, but a business student can contact a law alum and get just as much, feedback and positive response. So I think that that's definitely where the Georgetown network can help all students.
Brad, is there a careers curriculum of sorts in your program at Carnegie Mellon?
It's kind of interwoven. I wouldn't call it a curriculum. I would call it kind of a calendar that is staggered ahead of the academic calendar and then extends beyond the academic calendar, where we have just for starters, we have essentially the same career services that the rest of the Tepper programs have. We also have connections with the School of Computer Science that kind of supplement those business connections. So we have sort of stakeholders from both sides of the spectrum. And what we do, because we have a required internship, we bring, as soon as similar to the way Karen described it, as soon as our students are registered, as soon as they have their IDs, we set up what we call basically a pre-orientation that teaches them how to network. We review their resumes. We set them up so that they can initiate their internship searches with adequate preparation, with the goal, ideally, of some of them will have internships before they set foot on campus. And then a similar process follows at the end during the full-time recruiting. And it's kind of interesting because we're also in the midst of creating new processes, or at least processes that are new to us, because our program is only in its 4th year right now. And we're just now accumulating enough of a mass of alumni who are very eager to help out. So like my day today is setting up mock interviews between alumni who are eager to help and these students who want the practice repetitions. So it's kind of cradle to grave in that manner. And a lot of great resources, both within Tepper and the School of Computer Science.
What kind of hand-holding happens at ASU? Because the careers that your folks are going into are really diverse and all over the place.
Yes, that definitely keeps us on our toes here at Thunderbird. So we do offer a 1-credit professional development course that students take, and it spans across their entire program, focusing on career preparation, leadership, and professional development skills, and also building some of those functional skills. The training for them does start like Georgetown as soon as they are welcomed into the family here at Thunderbird. So we're working with them during the summer. We also have a spring intake. So we're just starting that process now with our students who are starting in January. We do job boards, resume books. Resume books are probably one of the most active ways that we help our students get connected with opportunities, especially those around the world. And we rely a lot on our alumni who have a presence, once again, all around the world. So our alumni are very instrumental in helping us with our mentoring of students, networking programs. We do what we call a mock networking session every year, and we bring alumni in for that. And of course, they also do most of our mock interviews. We prepare our students for case interviewing as well. And we have one-on-one coaching. We like to meet with all of our students at least twice a year. Between the coaching staff and all of our student coaches, we really try to meet with each student at least twice a year, so that we have a very good understanding of what they're seeking, how we can help them, and then we're actively connecting them with opportunities. We also do a lot work with our clubs as well, because we have students of such varying interests. For instance, for those folks who are looking at entrepreneurship, we partner with our entrepreneurship club and really fund and support pitch competitions, stuff like that. We also work a lot with our Thunderbird Women's Business Clubs to really help advertise and market some of the programming that they do. And, really sometimes it's giving them extra credit for the professional development to really encourage students to engage in some of those functional level development opportunities that we can't do them all through the Career Center. So we partner with clubs to really help them get their attendance up.
And here's what I want everyone to take away from these 3 conversations about jobs and careers and the coaching, the mentoring, the alumni connections, the networking, the job boards, and et cetera. Guess what? If you major in almost any other subject, there'll be no attention paid to getting you a job. This is the secret sauce of what a great business school does. It feels that its job is not complete when the dean hands you the diploma. The job is complete when you get a job. And that's as simple as it is. And the business school is pretty much the only school in any university campus that believes and feels that way and devotes significant resources to making sure that happens. So Angelique, let's stay with you. I want to ask you, what do you think employers most like and most appreciate about your graduates?
Our employer said that what they really appreciate about T-birds, as they are affectionately known as, is that T-birds come with the ability to really engage in business, but also have a thirst for really understanding different cultures. T-birds are known for being very adaptable. Oh, sorry, I guess I'm not moving enough in my office. I hope you can still see me here. It got completely dark here. Okay, so T-birds are known for being very adaptable, and they are also known for really seeking ways to disrupt business. So these are folks who like change. They like to be at the forefront of creating new trends and ideas and ways of doing business. And most importantly, just really understanding different cultures and really putting their efforts into driving diversity and equity issues within organizations and private, social, government, and so on. So.
Karen, what would you think employers like most about your graduates?
Well, I mean, our graduates are certainly smart and capable, but the conversations I have with the employers are often about culture fit. I think students are attracted to Georgetown. It happens to be a Jesuit university with a theme of cura personalis, care for the whole person, and that permeates the curriculum and the students doing a lot of volunteer work and just being well-rounded people. So I would say that they're global citizens who really want to make positive change, and a lot of companies sort of appreciate that well-rounded, diverse perspective of students who are just great people to work with. So that's what I would say.
Brad, your turn. What do employers most appreciate about your graduates?
It's difficult to generalize because flavors of product managers vary so greatly. We have some that are stronger and more biased toward design, others that are more technical. But I'd say that if I had to compile them into one specific attribute, it would be readiness to step in and perform, readiness to step in and lead, which the nature of product manager is such that it's not easy to do that unless you have been through the training, through the readiness, through the even the hands-on aspect of our internships and our projects. We see our grads step in and they're moving at 100 miles an hour on day one. And that, in contrast to some other, I've talked with employers who hire from, different backgrounds and things like that. And they find that after they bring someone in, there's this massive training period. And that doesn't seem to be nearly as necessary once somebody has made it through our program.
Right. Now, Heather, why don't you pose the final question to our panelists to wrap it up?
So what advice would you have for somebody considering a specialized master's, your specialized master's program? Angelique?
Advice for people who are interested in Thunderbird specialized masters.
Yeah.
So I would say really understand what we do here. Like we are about 50% international and US. So most people who join our program who are very excited and who are a fit for the program are people who enjoy and really have a thirst for understanding different cultures. I would also say that if you want to join the Thunderbird program, be ready day one to engage in your career search. We really do want talent who are actively promoting and actively starting that job search from day one, even if it's just uncovering what you want to do. The career exploration process is still part of the search. So just know that if you're thinking about Thunderbird, we truly are global. We try to live it. We believe in four IR, so digital transformation and blockchain and sustainability, the circular economy. That's where we're going. We actually just opened up. I'm sitting in a building right now. We just opened up this brand new building here in the Phoenix area, and it's known as one of the most digitally transformation style buildings in the Phoenix city. So it's pretty exciting here at Thunderbird, and just know that you have the support of not only the Career Center, but also our faculty, alumni, and staff in general. So we hope to see your application and learn more about your interest in the school and the program.
Thank you. And Arizona is my home. So next time I come back to visit, I'm going to have to check out the new building.
You do. It is truly an amazing facility. We're proud of it.
Lots of innovation happening in Phoenix.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Brad, people specifically considering a product management degree, what advice would you have for them for Tepper?
I think it's a pretty simple two-step process. The first step is ask yourself why. And then once you've answered that, ask why again and again and again a couple more times. So you really understand that specialization is what you want. So you've convinced yourself to something more general. They're both are great choices depending on what your confidence level is in your future and how convinced you are that you know that this is the destination. Once you've done that, I think this one I'm stealing from interviews with my own students is look at the results that the students before you have discovered. And is that, on one hand, that is proof that the system either works or does not work, or maybe works intermittently. But it really is, it's a tool to envision the companies they're working for, the type of work they're doing, the job titles, even their progression before and after the degree. Our degree is young, so we don't have long-term trends. But the thing that always amazes me in a pleasantly surprising way when we have incoming students is they reach out to our alumni, and the best guidance you can get is that word of mouth guidance. And that's not to say do it. That's not to say don't do it. It's to determine whether it's for you.
So Karen, for prospects considering Georgetown and Masters in Management, what kind of advice can you share with them?
Well, I agree with a lot of what's been said. Take the time to figure out what you want and why you're doing it, because if it's the right program for you, it's going to be an amazing experience, but you do want to make sure that it's what you have in mind. So for example, it is pretty tough to be a liberal arts major and then do this 10-month accelerated program in business. So it takes a lot of really devoted energy, and it's super exciting. And I watching everyone's growth is fantastic, but you have to be ready to step in and really work hard because it goes quickly. But also it depends on your personal situation. So for example, we have quite a few athletes who have 5th year eligibility, or maybe they graduated in 3 years. And so, you know what, they've been able to work it out with their teams or their professors so they can go to all the classes and still do baseball and swimming and lacrosse. Other people have family businesses or do want to go on to a medical school or want to start their own businesses. And so it's really, it just depends on what you want and if this fits this. And one of the things that the MIM program allows for is internships. And it's completely optional. For some people, it's enough to take those classes and then graduate and then look for a job, and that's what they're going to do. Other people are going to use that time. We make sure the classes are structured so they're Monday through Thursday in the afternoon, leaving large blocks of time if students do want to take on other activities to do career exploration. So finding the fit, and I think not just taking it on surface, but doing what everyone's saying, going to all the admissions events, the poets and quants things, the webinars, but talking to people, not only in the program, but talking to people who have jobs you think you might want to do, and asking them, well, what are the skills you need? What do you wish you had? Where would my experience fit in? And getting a sense, I think, from the real world of what would make sense for you.
Well, fantastic. Heather, thank you for stepping in there and helping out today. Brad, Karen, and Angelique, thank you so much for your time, your help. and your insights into these really cool programs. For all of you out there who are either watching live or who will be watching on demand, I hope you've enjoyed this session as well. Again, there are a lot of options, and I think one of the things about specialty master's programs is you got to be pretty directed. You got to pretty much know what you kind of want. The master's in management is a little more broader and opens the door to a lot of different opportunities probably. But generally, if you're on track and you know you want to have a global career, you want to have a career in product management, project management, these are two great options. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you later on.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.